right. Let me straighten a few things out here. Well, I thought I would just hop on and see if anybody would show up to discuss the single plane swing. So if you're on here and you want to hop on, say hello. Um, Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year coming up. I know that many of you are probably just getting through the holidays and maybe just looking forward to getting into the spring next year. So thank you, Joseph. Merry Christmas to you too. I wanted to hop on and answer any questions people have. I just wanted to get on here and do a live segment. I don't do too many lives on YouTube, but I thought it might be kind of fun to see if I can get this thing rolling a little bit. I'm actually inside my studio. I was doing a little work in here, working on some sound quality and things like that. So let me know. I mean, I'm playing around with sound stuff. Only way I can get feedback on that is from you guys. So let me know if that's working okay for you. Okay, got some questions rolling in. Thanks for the questions. I'm going to get to these in just 1 second. Let me say this though. Please post some questions in here. I'm going to try to get through those as much as I can. And if you have any questions about the single plane swing, the swing mechanics, why we teach what we teach, what the basic principles are. One of the questions I had asked this morning, and I was in. I don't like to sit at my desk and answer questions because I like to demonstrate things. It's much easier to demonstrate. That's why I wanted to do a live today about the tilt of the body at a dress. So I might talk about that a little bit. I'd love to talk about why the body is set up the way it is, how you make the swing more natural. In other words, the body actually has its own built-in ranges of motion. Why don't we want to use those ranges of motion to help us? It benefits us if we can position ourselves to hit the golf ball with using the way our body is designed. I like to think about it that way. So I'll talk about those things as well. The first thing I will talk about though is the tilt of the body. One of the things that you see in the single plane swing right from the beginning is we start with more tilt. So this is called side bend. And the reason we like to start with more side bend biophysically, and I speak in terms of biophysics because I want you to know there's a reason behind what we do. We're not just creating something out of thin air. It's not just the dust we throw in the air. We're creating simplicity by using the simple way to use the body as a machine. That's the message I think I want to get across to you is this is a mechanism, this is a tool. We want to take this tool and this mechanism and as efficiently as possible strike that ball on the ground with this stick. So the positions we put you in and we demonstrate and I show you and I teach you have a reason. There's a biophysics reason to help us get to that moment of impact. That's what this is all about. So a couple questions here. Let me just answer one question and we'll get into a little bit of mechanics here. Where do I aim to ground my club in front of the ball while striking irons? So this is from Ricky Jackson. Hey, Ricky, let me answer that this way. You don't aim there. I don't want to get into, a lot of people think that we're hitting something at this direction. I want you to think about the golf swing in this terms, and maybe this will be helpful, maybe it won't. I am making a motion of the body, which is moving this club. The club will naturally create a bottom. If I move correctly, it naturally creates a bottom. Because watch this. You'll notice that the shaft, when I set up, the shaft already has an angle to it. It's not like this, it's got an angle to it, right? And when I come down, that angle comes down. See that? It naturally comes down. So this angle is forcing this club to go down. As opposed, if I didn't have angle, see the club comes up. See how the club comes up when I don't have angle? See how it comes down when I have angle? So it's not about you hitting down. It's about you putting the body in a position so the club naturally has angle downward. See that? So this is where ball position comes in. It's where it's why when I hit the 6 iron I'm holding in my hand, If I set up correctly, you'll notice the width of my stance and the position of the ball. That's why I use this ball position trainer, because we need to constantly reinforce correct ball position. So stance width and ball position are very related. And you'll notice that when I come down, because of ball position and stance width, the club naturally has a downward angle. Okay, so you're saying, okay, well, whatever, that makes sort of sense. Watch this though. If I grab a driver, I can create less angle with the same swing. In other words, I can hit a driver and not have angle, not have a downward angle with the same swing. Well, how does that happen? Well, when I'm hitting a driver, I don't know if you can see that ball position. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm hitting a driver. Ball position is more forward. Stance width is the same. I mean, it's wider because I have a driver. Now watch this. When I'm coming down, that has the same angle of a 6-iron. Look at that. That's the same angle as a 6-iron. So my angle is the same. But because the ball position is more forward, it goes through the bottom and then starts coming up because of my position from a wider stance and the ball position forward. So angle is naturally created. You don't have to hit down. You don't have to focus on something down there. You have to hit your positions. I hope that makes some sense, because I want you to stop thinking that you're trying to focus on something down here and hit something. That's got to stop. No good player does that. Not one accomplished golfer focus on where they're hitting on the ground. Not one. They train it. They train because of positions or training correct positions that create angles, but they're putting mechanics in place that produce it. All right, so I want to hope that's clear. Does that make any sense? Let me know. From Thomas Wilson, South Carolina. I'm interested in learning a single plane swing. Thomas, let me see if I can go into the chat here for just 1 sec. I put my email address in there. I love to chat with you guys. If you're hopping on here, I like to chat with you. By the way, is my audio okay? Let me know. So it must be okay. So drop me a note, because if I put some links to where I have my courses online or our schools and stuff, I'd rather talk to you about where you're at and make sure it's the right fit for you on what we do. So just drop me an email, toddg@gravesgolf.com. That's kind of the best way for us to communicate, because maybe there's a school nearby. I can get you in one of our really great 3-day or 5-day schools, or another program that I can really help you with. But I want to make sure it fits you. From Thomas Breddy. Todd, I've learned a lot, my friend. Bought a bunch of training aids. Just want to say thank you. Hey, thank you, Thomas, for that note. I appreciate that. I love helping you guys. When you guys commit to learning this, it simplifies your golf game, and I'm certainly all in to help you do that. Joseph Kelly, left arm in squaring the club. Left arm in flexion, squaring the club. Okay, let's talk about left arm. Yeah, Thomas Wilson, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the left arm. I'm gonna actually do something real quick. Left arm. Okay. So lead arm position. This is the way the lead arm works in the golf swing. So it's actually it's important. I don't know how many of you are familiar with my instruction, but it's so important that we hit position, that we have correct position of the body, because I've said this many times that it's a sum of its parts. When you put one position, when you put the body out of position, it creates what I call a domino effect, and it starts affecting the rest of the position. So if you look at my left arm, and I'm standing straight up, if I just stand straight up and down, this is called flexion, right? So that's the shoulder being in flexion in front of the chest. When I tilt, so look at, you can't really see my lead shoulder that well, but watch when I tilt. You see how you see my lead arm, my shoulder more from side bend. So flexion and side bend go together, And then when I do this, the arm goes internal rotation, stays internal, and because of side bend and flexion, it squares. It naturally squares without having, it can't over square. Right? It can't close. It can't go too far because of this, but it can go too far if I come out of side bend because my shoulder starts coming out of flexion. So it's really about side bend, flexion, rotation, squaring. That's how this arm works. Very simple. Got to have the lead hand correct, got to have the grip correct. It's very simple how it works, but we got to have all those elements together. Joseph Kerr. Oh, that was your Joseph. Hope that helps. Thomas, I know mostly what I don't know. I'm already going to a chiropractor and need this very much from kinesiology perspective. So let's talk about how the single plane swing helps your back. Those of you, how many of you have back issues? If you do, you probably out there. And some of the reason you found me because you have back issues. We have to control the golf swing with lower spine. I've had back issues. Back when I played conventional golf, when I was a young kid, I had back issues. I remember one day in high school, I had to stop. I had to leave a tournament because my back hurt so bad. This is when I was young and healthy and didn't have any real physical issues. So the golf swing naturally can produce pain if you don't do it correctly because there's a couple things going on. One thing going on is you have rotation, right? Every golf swing has rotation. So that's going to happen in the swing I teach or a conventional golf swing. You have rotation. But what we can eliminate is when you have a pushing up and down, so you have a movement up down here. So if I lift and I go down, you get this thing called compression. Now, when you take compression, the going up and going down, and that happens in conventional golf. When you combine those and you rotate, you get shear. Shear is where you guys experience pain because you're going up as you're coming down as you're rotating. And this creates this compression in the body. So we're not going to eliminate the rotation because that's where we get our speed. How many of you understand that? We're not losing speed, but we're going to eliminate the compression. We're going to eliminate the up and down. And what we do is, the way we do it is because we're in a single plane, we can now simply go down. We can go down. We don't ever go up, right? We don't ever go up and down at the same time. That's why we save your back. So I'm glad to help you. And the more you get this right, the easier it gets on your back. Another question here. It does. So Ricky Jackson, it does make sense. I heard someone talk about aiming at a spot which doesn't work for me. Just wanted to hear your thoughts. We're on the same page. Yeah. Again, I mean, you're swinging through the golf ball. You're not swinging at the golf ball. So build the mechanics of your swing that naturally creates the bottom. So I'll give you some advice on this though. So we want to make sure that we're consistently having the same bottom. So it's all about positions. So head being still for a period of time, and you know me, I'm not a head still guy, but head stays still, stabilize, head stays still, and if we get the right rotation and the head stays still, we get the same bottom of the golf swing, the same bottom occurring. You get consistent at where that bottom occurs. Don't try to produce a bottom, but just keep working on your good mechanics and you'll get that bottom of the swing. From Thomas Wilson again, sir, this is only the only option. I can't afford the luxury of using my fat body as a corkscrew. Yeah, I agree with that. I get you. Hey, Todd, can you talk a little bit about the position of the left wrist at the top of the backswing? Because I think I'm cupping mine and whatever you swing push. Look, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, let's talk about left wrist. And guys, let me know, is the camera really shaky? Because I'm looking at some different screens here, and I don't know if I need to slow down so you can see, because that's really blurry to me. So let me know if you have any issues with this. But so what I want to see at the top of the swing, look at my hand. Let me go into, I know I'm kind of coming out of frame here. Let me go into a little detail on this. So lead hand position, you'll notice this is what I call full range of forearm. But from tilt, from flexion, this is called full range. Notice when I grab the club, my thumb has a little bit of extension to it. So it's not short. It's got a little bit of extension to it. Okay. So now, because of its extension, it puts the wrist in ulnar deviation. See, that's full. That's kind of a full release of the wrist, ulnar deviation. See that? Now, it goes from ulnar deviated to radial deviated Radial deviated is when that thumb, it's like the thumb goes straight towards the radius bone, and that's what the wrist should look like at the top. See that? Not that, not cupped like that, like that. Okay? And so I'll do that face on. It goes like this. I'm watching myself on the screen here so I can make sure I'm doing it right. And then it goes radial like that. Okay? So it looks like that, radial deviation. Having this thumb position going radial is what does it. What screws you up probably is what happens with the right arm. Because when you get up here and the right arm goes like this, you can get cupping. See that? I get cupping. And you want the right arm to be externally rotated, right? So the right arm gets external. And if you get the right arm internal, it starts forcing this way. So I first of all, make sure your grip is good, right? Make sure your grip is good. And that's just what I call neutralizing both hands, not having any crazy angles in the hands. And then making sure that one arm can go internal and one goes external. That's the position you want right there. And look at the club face. I'll get a little further away. Look at the club face at the top. See, it's not open. That would be cupped, right? So that's plain face. Did that, and then back to impact. Not sure if that helped or not. Hey Todd, can you talk about the position of the left wrist? Hope that helps, Mike. From Scott Mitchum. Let me scroll this down a little bit so I can see all these. Okay, from Scott. I had 4 to 5 spinal fusion surgery mid-November. Back to walking, that's good. 70 years old. I have always had a swing very similar to what you teach. Hope I can play again. Scott, I hope you can too. Look, I want to show you guys something. I think what people get crazy about rotation in the swing, they get crazy. I want to show you something. I'm gonna do my best to demonstrate this, but I'm gonna basically not rotate. I'm gonna show you how far I can move a golf club without rotation. Okay. Now, what I mean by rotation is torso and pelvis. But I can move my arms, and that includes my shoulders. They're independently hinged here at my neck, so I can still move my arms. Watch this. Watch how far I can move. I'm not going to turn this. I'm not going to turn my pelvis. I'm going to move my arms. That's a long way of moving a golf club. That club's moving a long way, and that's without turn. If I had turn, it looks like that, right? So even if you're having trouble with rotation, we should get some arm movement out of it. Now we add a little rotation, and we should get a little more speed. Just don't over rotate the body. That's where people get crazy with it. Those of you who had back problems, let me give you a suggestion. I think the problem you're going to have with your back problems is, yeah, it can be limiting. It's painful, right? There's some things going on, but you need to get strength. And I work with my students on this quite a bit. And this may be kind of counterintuitive to what you may think. Work on your finish position. So, and what I mean by that is work on stabilizing this leg, rotating the pelvis, and then getting to a finish. And because that's opening your pelvis up through impact. What I mean by that is I'm not trying to rip you open. I'm trying to get this right side of your pelvis moved inward, because that allows the hands to go forward. When I see people with back problems, they really are limited through impact. If we can open that up a little bit through impact, it really helps them get through the ball better. A little blurry, yeah, it's a little blurry. I know. I have a. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. I'll see if I can fix that. Yeah, good, Mike. I'm glad that helped. From James Starkey. Hey, James. So left elbow points to the target rather than pointing to the upper chest. Let me see. We talked about this last webinar, subject left arm rotation. Okay, so you're talking about left arm rotation at address. So left elbow, my left elbow, it's not, this would be at the target. That's at the target. It's not quite at the target, but it's darn close. That elbow is pointing kind of just to the side of the target. It's definitely not to the chest. This is internal rotation. This is external, and definitely my arm is not external. So it's more internal rotated, but that's why Mo called this the rod. It's more internal, but it's not fully internal. It's close. But here's the thing. Put the shoulder into flexion. That puts the upper arm where you want it. Otherwise, you get see how when I pull my shoulder in, it goes internal. Sorry, I got these mixed up. It goes external. So when I pull this is external. So when I pull the shoulder in, it gets external. And if I go flexion, it gets more internal. So it has to do with tilt and shoulder. That's what's affecting upper arm, tilt and shoulder. Mike, what is my club head speed? Because when I watch you, it looks like you're swinging fast enough to hit the ball 300 yards. Mike, I don't quite hit it 300. My club head speed ranges between 105 and if I'm playing a lot, 112. I hit it really close to 300. I just hit a couple. I haven't played much lately, but the last few shots I hit were like 285, 290. It depends how much I play. When my sequencing is good, and I can hit over 300 yards when I'm playing well, and when I'm loosened up and playing a lot. So my average is probably 280 yards. Yeah. Thomas Wilson typo. I got you. Too. From Scott. So many young pros have back problems because trying to snap the left leg. Yeah. Yeah. I am totally in disagreement with, and those of you who are kind of in the conventional world, when you're trying to post this leg, which is unnecessary in our swing, I don't want you doing that. This is compressing. That's compression. It's a stabilization move. It's a necessary move. You got to stop something here to accelerate. So it's a necessary thing for a conventional golfer. We're stopping the body, but we're doing it like this. That's a stabilizing move as well. When I stop that leg, that is also stabilizing. We do it this way because we're already on a single plane. We don't have to lift the body. A conventional golfer has to lift, so they post. So that's where you're seeing that. And yes, you're right. That's where you're getting back problems. I don't agree with posting that leg at all. Not unnecessary. From Christian, heel leading toe is the best thought ever. Thanks. I kind of agree with that. The heel leading the toe. I did a video on this, ended up being a pretty popular video on my YouTube channel, on this channel. But the heel, because this staying internally rotated, right? So when this stays internally rotated, which is the heel leading the toe, it forces you into a max range, right? And it forces the club to go from the inside. If you understand the heel of the club leading the toe, so heel is leading, and then we square. So yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. It's a great feeling, by the way. If you haven't seen that, go back and review that, the heel leading the toe video on my channel. Digital John, Todd, can you please break down what our trail elbow is doing when we start our backswing? Trail elbow, how the arms are extended. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's see what I'm gonna do here. Let me take this hoodie up. I'm now you can't see me because I wanted to show the arms better. That looks horrible. All right, try that again here. I wanted to see the arms better. Hey, give me a minute. I'm gonna go change shirts. Give me 1 second. All right, that's better. All right, thanks for hanging in there. Okay. Let me read that question again. So, Todd, can you please break down what our trail elbow is doing? Yeah. When this arm, so naturally, and again, part of our conversation is what's naturally happening in the swing, right? So, and when I look at the tilt of the body, flexion of this arm. Look at this trail shoulder. See how it's not really in flexion. It's a little bit in flexion. It's not, but it's not reaching out. And so look at the trail arm. It's almost just going straight down. See, it's not in full flexion. So what it does, it puts this arm, what Mo called sunny side up, but it puts this arm in somewhat of a rotation. So the elbow has a plane. So if I had this arm like this, the elbow would move like that. If I had the arm too much like this, it's going to move rotationally. So if I have too much rotation, it goes like this. Too much internal goes like this. So the question is, what's this elbow supposed to do? And it has a lot to do with where I set it up. So when I set it up correctly and I turn everything together, right, it's in a position to where when it goes up, when I go into that radial deviation, the club should go onto a plane and that elbow stays. It looks like it stays down, right? But it's not this way. And the way I monitor that is look at the club plane, right? That would be flat. That would be correct. So that arm, so it looks like this. So from a correct address position, turns back, the elbow stays down, but that lets the hand go onto plane and then go up. See, it's planing. See the elbow planing. It's not going internal. See what that would do to the shaft. So it's kind of monitored by what the lead arm is doing and by what the shaft plane is doing. And that's putting that hand where I want it and the elbow where I want it. So I hope that helps you kind of track what the elbow is supposed to do, but it really starts from the grip position. Okay, and then body rotation. So one really good way, if you want to kind of experiment with this, take the club, and now a lot of people, I've seen this taught a lot, is where they put the club into their belly button. There's no reference to the belly button in the golf swing. I don't. They shouldn't even be in putting, but people are like center of the club. The impact is here. Impact is when the hands lead. So there's a left side relationship. If you're looking at me from the face on, there's a left side relationship to the compression of a golf ball. So look at that club is going to my left side. Everybody see that? So when I'm looking down, if I want to take this club and just pull it up, it pulls up to my left side. That's what we call the pivot point. But now if I just turn everything together, so I just turn, okay, turn. That naturally, look at the club, naturally goes to the inside, then it goes up to plane. Look at that elbow, right? So that's how I feel it, is just a natural turn and then goes up. That's how I want you to kind of demonstrate that. That way, this will make sense. That way, the entire movement is related to my left side. Right side if you're right-handed. Left side, right side if you're left-handed. But it's all referenced right here because that's where it needs to be referenced to where? Impact. Hope that makes a little sense. That's my club to body relationship. Digital John, I hope that helps. Yes. We can see the arms contrast against the background. Good. Good. I was wearing the wrong color. From Scott, I know I've missed some of your shows, but what would you think of single length irons? I've made a set of them time to time. Scott, let me tell you about single plane irons. When Bryson DeChambeau signed with Cobra Golf, I didn't know Bryson. I had talked to Bryson at the time, but I didn't know Bryson. But Cobra Golf, because I'm involved with the single plane, Cobra approached me about helping build Bryson's first set of single length Cobra irons. And I was part of their testing group in the engineering. I'm not an engineer, but I was part of the engineers build out of Bryson's first single plane set. They actually brought the clubs here to my place in Edmond, Oklahoma, and we tested his clubs for a couple of days. It wasn't a very long period of time. And so I do have some experience with single length clubs. I think they're okay. I think the more swing speed you have, the better benefit you have from them. So in other words, what happens is, let's say you have slow swing speeds, you're going to end up with a 7, 8, 9 wedge. So 4 single length clubs, that's okay. I don't like long wedges because I'm always choking down for control. Wedges aren't about how far you hit them, it's about how you control them. So you end up with the higher swing speeds you have, the more single length irons you can have. The slower swing speeds, the more lengths you need to add speed. So I guess the question becomes, if you have enough swing speed, which is probably 85 mph plus, you probably get some benefit from single length. Other than that, I don't see a huge benefit, and I hope that gives you a help. I'm not a hater of single length clubs. I just think people make too much out of it because they think that's really gonna help them. But you'll never have a driver the same length as your irons because you need that length and speed. I definitely don't want a 3-wood that's short either. So you end up with different lengths anyway. But let me show you something, and this is maybe something to take note of. It's not the single length iron that's the benefit, it's the single plane that's the benefit. Let me explain why. So this, I'm gonna go through some different planes here. This is a plane, this is a plane, this is a plane, this is a plane. So this is my spine to club plane, right? The relationship. I'm gonna go wedge all the way to driver. Okay. So here's my pitching wedge, here's my driver. So we'll do pitching wedge first. Here's my wedge. Now I want you to look at my spine angle, okay? So look at where my spine is. Okay? So my angle, my spine, and I'll demonstrate this and I'll grab the driver. Here's my driver. There's not a huge difference, right? Not a huge difference. So here's my plane, wedge. Here's my driver. And what's allowing me to, it's a club to spine relationship. Here's where people get in trouble and they think single length's great because it's finally getting them all in the same spine to club relationship. So it's the single plane that's helping, not the single length, if that makes any sense. In other words, they're swinging on the same plane the whole time, which is great. That's why I think single length can be beneficial, but you don't need it because I use multi-length clubs and I just adjust this. There's only a 10-degree difference from driver to wedge, 10 degrees of forward bend tilt, 10 degrees, but I have the same arm to spine relationship. And so I don't need single length clubs. I'm not sure that helps, but again, I'm not anti single length. I just don't think they're that necessary. Yeah, Scott, the belly stuff. Yeah. Can you touch trail hand being not? Yeah, Digital John, trail hand non-rotational. This is one of my favorite subjects. If so trail hand non-rotational. I'll tell you what I'm going to do though. If you guys are serious, I don't know. Some of you may have joined my class. I have a 30-day class that we train you daily in the single plane swing. It's my absolute favorite part of what I do. Is I call it single plane 30. You train inside. It's not even outside. You do everything like in a studio or in your house. You don't even have to go to the range. It goes through daily step-by-step training on the single plane swing, and I keep you accountable and I coach you through the class. We have one starting next January 6th, which is a couple weeks from now. I'm going to put the link to it in here. That way you guys can join it if you'd like to join me. I don't know. See if that link works. I didn't even check it. But that is my 30-day training class if you want to really dig into this. Okay, so let's talk about trail hand non-rotational. Okay, again, it's hard to talk about one body part, like for example, trail hand being rotational. I got to tighten this thing on my wrist. It's hard to talk about trail hand being non-rotational if the body is out of position. Somebody in the chat say, man, totally get that because you can't just say, hey, this hand's not rotational. If this shoulder is rotating, this hand cannot be non-rotational. So I've got to basically put my body in a position and it puts the right shoulder, my side bend puts my right shoulder down and it puts this arm into a position where it can skip a rock. You would skip a rock just like this, right? You would never skip a rock like this. I can't skip a rock like that. I have to skip a rock from a side bent position. Well, the side bent position allows the arm to be non-rotational. So that's why it's so important to have your side bend correct. And now when I do, look at my hand, see? My hand is in a skipping the rock position. And so from here to the top of the backswing, as I'm coming down, still side bend. And look at this, skips, non-rotational, skip. And then people think, well, this is rotation, it's extension. This would be rotation. This is extension. Just like you'd skip a rock, extension. So it's still non-rotational because my body is rotated equally to the rotation. So it's non-rotational. And Mo talked a lot about that to me, about how this never feels like it rolls over, even though you see the face. The face looks like it rolls, right? You're like, face rolled over, but it's extension. It's not rotation. So you're just skipping rocks. That's the non-rotational aspect of the trail side from the side bend and the trail arm extension. Hope that helps. Yeah, let me see. Hi, Todd. Could you elaborate on the backswing rotation, the inside and up? Yeah, plane. That and the downswing that is outside the backswing plane, but the club plane is real how the body. Yeah. So, Doug, thanks for asking that. Doug Bone. So what he's asking there is we do not want the club to go on the same plane back and down. I don't call my swing the same plane swing. I didn't call Mo's swing the same plane swing. It's a single plane swing because we start and impact on the same plane, but we don't swing on the same plane because our body isn't rotated the same way back and coming down. So in the backswing, when I turn and that club is parallel to the impact plane, but it's not on the same plane. It's parallel to it. It's on the single plane. It's that single plane, the same plane I started on, but it's not, I don't take it back on this line. So because my body rotation, I'm like 60 degrees of rotation here, and my club is on plane. But when I come down, when I turn, see, my body has less rotation. So the hands must come out. So if I'm going to keep the same relationship of club to body. So if I have the same relationship of my hands to my body, more rotation here, less rotation here, means inside here and then out there. So in and up, and then on. So you want to see in, plane, on the plane, impact. That's the natural motion of how the body is rotating. That's why you see that. It's not a ton. You don't see it like this. You don't see it way over here, right? You see it a little bit under, on, okay? So that's what you see. And I don't even want to see, those hoops? Those hoops people swing on? Those are horse shit. Because watch this. When I'm back, my arm rotation is different here than it is here. So because of natural motion of the body. So you want to see the hands come to the line, but you want to see the club. They say it's shallowing out. It's just because the arm is in a little bit of a different rotation. So you don't even see, the club needs to go slightly under the line. So there's a lot of things happening to this club. What's interesting is I look at the plane of the club, but I don't focus on the club because the club has a natural movement to it. So I don't get crazy about where this club is. What I do is I simply plane it and then replane it. I just try to, I've never focused on the club plane, and I've always had that movement of the club, just like Mo. From Scott, I only have like 10 wedges, but still have 75-year-old Spalding 59-degree wedge in my bag. Stole it from my dad. It's been regripped and regrooved a lot, but yeah. I got some old wedges too. I just love. I just wore them out. Let's talk about stabilization. My favorite subject is really stabilizing the body. And one of the things I think, one of the things which you guys should do, and I like hopping on here because look, we're heading into 2025. Start setting your golf goals. I really think it's important to set 90-day plans. So I work consistently with 90-day plans with my students. We map it out. I like strategies, mapping things out, setting goals because it focuses you to be accountable to things. Write things down. What are we trying to accomplish? And then get some feedback and measurables as we do this. One of the things that I think is critically important is getting the body to work correctly. And so we have this, the lower half of the body, or this is the stabilization part of the body. Now, people say, well, you hear this all the time. How many of you hear that lower body produces speed? And what's not really true, the lower body is a power. It's a power source. There's a difference between power and speed. Power is conducive for speed. In other words, you need this generating support. It's an allowing factor. It allows this to produce speed and the arms and hands to accelerate. So without it, you can't produce the speed. It's like having this really fancy engine in your car, the upper body and your arms, this really fancy fast engine, but not having wheels and tires on the car. So this is your support system, and this is your acceleration rudder. So we need to get this working right to get this accelerated. And what I see as an instructor so often is people don't use this correctly down here, and they can't get the speed out of up here. Some of you may experience that. So what you got to focus on with lower body is, foot position it matters, right? And then when you rotate, you're rotating against this trail leg, right, into that trail leg towards the heel, so I can move into this. What's happening is it's controlling the pelvis, and when you control the pelvis really well, you can then accelerate the upper body. So lower body, working on lower body motion, right? And it stabilization and range, having your foot position. You guys need to stop standing like this. This is pay attention. Don't stand like this. This screws up pelvis movement. How my feet are straight out. And the reason I say that, some of you guys don't think about it. You've ignored this, but this is hurting your ability to use your lower body. You need both feet have a bit of rotation to them. Less in the trail foot, more in the lead foot. But that's allowing you to rotate your pelvis and give yourself some freedom. And so that's very important is your foot position. And then that stabilizes this leg to give me some range of motion. And look at my butt staying back. I'm working on this myself as my flexion, staying back so I can get my butt back. Very, very, very important position to get that spine in a really good spot. So lower body, put that on your goals for this year, lower body stability and motion. From James, accuracy and precision I've gained from controlling lower body. Exactly. Same here. And it feels good. Like it feels good. It feels like you can really be consistent. Consistency. Yeah. No more jumping. That's right, James. No more jumping. What else would you like me to chat about? I'm waiting for some more questions here. Hey, Doc. Hey, Doc Callahan asking, do you lose distance with this approach? I didn't lose any distance. Matter of fact, I gained distance from this. The the students I teach usually gain distance. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a swing that's going to produce more distance than a conventional golf swing, only because speed is produced the same way in both swing motions. So I don't try to separate what I teach, the single plane swing, from the conventional swing in that sense. Biophysics is biophysics. We produce speed in the same exact way. So if I measure speed in my swing, it's the same way you'd measure speed in a conventional swing. It's a kinematic sequence, pelvis, torso, arms, hands, club. It's a sequence of events happening. So what would cause you to lose speed? I would say that the reason I've been able to help people gain speed is because of technique. I've improved their technique, which improves their kinematic sequence. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying that you're going to go out there and this is, by the way, look at the long drive guys that play. They're very single plane because they're hitting these dang long drivers. The long guys are more single plane than anybody you see on the tour. The long drive guys, obviously they rotate like crazy and they use their body a lot more and they do a lot of things, not from a consistency factor. Let me show you something. And guys, look at this for a second. Can you see this whiteboard? You might not be able to see this, but I'm going to try this anyway. All right, I'll try. Okay, so we got technique over here and we got speed over here, right? And so we need to find this nice middle ground where we have, and so I'm sorry, let me take that. It's consistency. So we got consistency over here, we got speed over here. We need to find this nice middle ground where we have great technique because we want to be consistent, but you can sit there and chip the ball 5 yards to be consistent, right? So I can do that easier than when I start adding speed. So we got to find this middle ground between consistency and speed where we have both consistency and speed. What you shouldn't care about is this. You shouldn't focus all your attention on this, right? And of course, I wouldn't say focus all your attention on this. We got to find out this nice middle ground right here where we have great technique, where we have both consistency and speed plus sign. We need both of these. And so people that come to me and say, oh, I want to produce more speed, they spend way too much time over here. I have guys that all they care about is how far they hit it, and they suck because they're not very consistent. So this is where you're aiming. We need speed. You got to have to hit the ball distances to play well, right? But we need consistency too. So this is where I aim for people. I aim for the middle. I don't aim for here. So if you're a guy who just wants to be a long drive guy, I mean, the single plane swing will probably you're gonna end up doing things that are outside of what I would consider good technique because I'm trying to get you to shoot low scores. There's a difference. That's why the long drive guys don't necessarily play well. How many long drive guys are actually on the tour? Zero, because they don't have consistency, right? They're good golfers. They can play. They just don't have the consistency enough to shoot 4 rounds on a par. So you got to be careful when you start talking speed. There's nothing in the single plane swing that should keep you from producing speed. Nothing, right? Everything is the exact same. Biophysics is biophysics. We just do it in an easier way. One of the things that I want to demonstrate to you, how many of you are brand new to the channel? If you're brand new to this, welcome. The thing that I want to, and I'll close with this because I've got to work on my studio a little bit here. The thing that I want you to understand about what I teach and we teach here at Graves Golf with the single plane swing is that I'm trying to match the natural movements of your body, the way it's designed, because I can show you things about your body that you're like, okay, mine does that too. Match that with getting you to impact in the easiest possible way. So the most important moment of the swing is obviously the strike of the ball. We must be in a position where the hands lead, talked about that earlier, and the club face is square, and I can compress the ball, and all those things need to be there. Okay, so impact becomes a very critical part of what we do. What I want to do is match the natural design of your body to that. And if you see, I'll just go through, I'm not going to do it without a golf club here. I'll show you some natural things that occur in the swing to kind of wrap this up for us. When I set up, I have side bend. That side bend is very similar to the side bend I'm going to have at impact. Everything matches impact, okay? So I have a side bend relative to impact. I have a lead arm alignment. I'll do this with a club. I have a lead arm alignment that matches lead arm alignment at impact. So I have the side bend, lead arm alignment. My trail arm underneath, same where it's going to be an impact. So you're seeing that everything that I'm matching up here, I'm matching everything to where I'm going to be at impact. Now, what happens now when I make motion is we got to get the face square. We have to get speed. We got to get the club into a position to produce speed. What's the purpose of a backswing? The purpose of the backswing is to put the club in a position to accelerate it. right? There's no other. If I could take the club back 2 inches and hit it 300 yards, I'll take it back 2 inches. But we need to take the club back to a point where I can accelerate it. So I take to the club, I leverage the club. That's what we call leverage. We leverage the club for acceleration. That's the backswing. I come down, I keep the leverage, and I release the angles of the club to produce speed. We want to release them into that impact. Now, when I release the club, you want to make sure the face is square. So when I do these things, I want to create an insurance policy, make sure that club face is always square. How do I do that? Well, this is where your body motion comes in, multiple factors. When my body is stabilizing, if I keep this knee stable and that foot down, it creates a limit. I limit how much I can go. That's a great thing because I can only go so far. People say, Todd, how much do you rotate? As much as I can. That's a loaded comment. I am rotating as much as I can. As much as I can with my foot down and my knee stable and my foot position. That's as far as I can go. It's a natural body limit based on those parameters. That makes sense? Okay, side bend is a limiter. Head position is a limiter. So with my head being still and my side bend and my feet down, I'm now limited. See that? Try this. Stand up. Flex your knee. Just a little bit, stable. Turn your pelvis, side bend, turn your torso, and you'll find a limit. You'll find, oh, I have a limit. I can't move. Guess what? That's impact. That's impact. You just hit impact. See that? Limiting factors. That's when the hands deliver. When you're like, I have no place to go, arms can. See that? That's how you deliver the club. Now, lead arm. This is where the club face squares because when it's internally rotated, when the upper arm's internally rotated, the forearm can only go that far. And that's where the face is square. So do you see how I just gave you the kinematic sequence of the swing to square face? So lower body stability, upper body rotation limit, arm limit, square face. So lower body limit, upper body limit, arm limit, face limit. 1, 2, 3, 4. That just gave you the sequence of how do you square a club face in a golf ball. From Max. Hey, Max. During the backswing, should the weight be placed on the right heel of the inside of the right foot? Yes. Max, I want to see when you move into the backswing, I want to see it inside the right heel. Inside the heel. Okay, that's where it stabilizes the leg, not outside of the foot, not on the toe. It's inside the right heel, but inside the foot. Yes, that's correct. Wasn't it Sam Snead who said he usually hit driver at 85%? Look, all good players play at about 80 to 85%. Now, they have an extra gear. You see him, Bryson will pull that gear out. Some guys will pull that gear out. Great. But they don't play with that gear. They use it once in a while to maybe gain an advantage or play a par 5. Play at 80 to 85%. Yes, that's true. All right, James, great to see you, all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to sign off. Thanks for joining me. Join my class. I put the link in here. I'll do it one more time. I want to see you in my class this month. I also put my email on there, so I'm in the chat. Reach out to me if you need me. I'm here to help. 2025 is going to be our year. Love having you. By the way, I built an entire performance center here in Edmond, Oklahoma. 6-hole training course, 130-yard driving range, training up every aspect of the game. You come here, you stay here, you practice with me. We train you here. It's an encapsulating experience to get you deep diving into the single plane. You're welcome to drop me an email if you're interested in coming and visit me this year. I look forward to seeing you. Signing off. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon.